Welcome back to another video today, guys. I am extremely excited to tell you about this project that I have been following for 2.5 years. In that 2.5 years, these guys have been building something that I believe is going to be one of those apps that take blockchain mainstream. When we talk about what kinds of things might be that go-to-market app that brings everybody into blockchain, people often say it's video games. And when I first heard about this, I wasn't that interested in video games, but this project with this amazing, insane team and their incredible ability to build the best token ecosystem possible to incentivize everybody to participate, this thing has massive potential with an ultra low market cap right now for how much potential it has. So please, everybody, stay tuned to the end. And I also go into some really, really logical and fun price speculations. So if that sounds good to you, everybody, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. All right, thank you so much. Stay tuned for this, and I will catch you in a second. Okay, guys, let's jump into this. So what is Ultra trying to disrupt, right? Because ultimately, everything in blockchain is trying to disrupt something. And even though Ultra aims to do a hell of a lot more than Steam does alone, the most obvious disruption is Steam. So what is Steam? Steam is a video game distribution platform, right? And, you know, before I jump into this, I will tell you that I met the guys, David and Nicholas at Consensus in 2018 in April. And that's when I started working with them as an advisor, right? So I have been with this project for quite a long time. I'm not anymore, and this is not a paid sponsorship by any means. I am just doing this because I have been a big believer of this project since the day I met Nicholas. And I believe that there is a significant amount of room to grow. I've also held off on making this video because I wanted to wait until there was going to be significant, in my opinion, significant movement on this project. And the past 2.5 years, they've just been building. And this is a serious project with a serious team. They haven't been focused on just market making and pumping the price of the coin. They raised the money they had to raise, and they've been working on building a product to take to the real world. They are a serious team, right? And so let's jump into the content now, but I wanted to let you know that. So what is Steam? Steam is a video game distribution platform that in 2017 had $4.3 billion in revenue. Okay, that's what I want you to understand. Now, let's jump into Ultra and talk about why, in my opinion, it will disrupt Steam and then a hell of a lot more. So Ultra is bringing the blockchain revolution to the gaming industry and creating a fair ecosystem for the future of games distribution. With cutting-edge technology, Ultra aims to shake up the gaming industry by putting power back in the hands of developers and players, paving the way for a first-class game publishing platform. And it's so much more than that, right? So what is Ultra? Designed to break the market monopoly, Ultra is a next-generation games distribution platform offering new solutions to both developers and players. Ultra has a blockchain foundation empowered by our staged software download technology that has reliably served more than 100 million downloads around the world. Our blockchain-based functionalities allow for innovative business customizations to offer a whole new set of opportunities bound to become the developer's gold standard. So let's talk about the benefits for players and developers and everybody else. So for players, they can earn money, earn Ultra coins by participating in beta tests and market studies, watching ads, curating games, and more. I mean, imagine this. I mean, I used to be big into gaming, you know, back in my childhood and into my teens in high school. And you know, it is every video gamer's dream to make money to test video games and play video games and be part of a video game ecosystem. And now with things like esports and things like that, it's making it possible. But if your average kid or average person who plays video games can make money just by beta, I mean, how cool would that be that you get to not only get early access to games before everybody else does, and you get to try them out, but you get to play them and give your feedback and make money for doing that. That is incredible. So for players, they will also get exclusive AAA content only available on Ultra. So Ultra has what's called a war chest, and they also set aside a significant amount of money that they raised funds for in order to get exclusive games that will launch on Ultra first. This is incredibly important. Why? Because they need a go-to-market strategy, and it is incredibly difficult to disrupt content distribution platforms. Think about all of the blockchain projects that have tried to disrupt YouTube. Even though they're far better, in my opinion, from a moral, ethical perspective, it's still hard because content creators need an audience in order to make money, and they need views. So this is so important to get exclusive games. And the partnerships that I'll talk about a little bit later will help with that exclusive game distribution and privileges. But just so you know, there's baked into the entire token ecosystem is a way to get exclusive games that are in super high demand that will launch in Ultra first. And this will bring tens of millions of people to Ultra just because they want to get access to that game that's launching first on Ultra. This is so important. So they will get to play games immediately, play games just minutes after purchasing using our stage software download technology, right? When you want something bad, you can't wait to play it. You need to be able to play it right away, right? So that'll be great. This whole Ultra ecosystem is so much more than a games distribution platform. So Ultra blockchain will have different use cases. The first thing they're launching is Ultra games. I'll talk about more after this, but that's important to know. But they're also building much more than Steam, where Steam is just a distribution platform, and Steam has like a community tab on it, but it's not really community. On Ultra, there'll be things like tournaments and social media and influencers and communities and things like that, chat rooms, all kinds of interaction between the players. It'll be a place where gamers want to come hang out. Open platform, access third-party games and services directly within Ultra, including item trading. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. Resell your games, opportunity to purchase and resell secondhand digital games on virtual items. So right now, if you want to go buy a video game, it costs $40, $50. And if you want to go sell it to something like GameStop, you're going to get like $4 for it, right? So this is going to give you a better opportunity to buy and sell your games. And you can do that with digital ownership of a game through NFTs, non-fungible tokens. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. And what is super important is this 2-level referral program, right? So, they have thought about all the ways, because they know the difficulties of acquiring customers for content distribution platform. And so they're thinking about all the ways that they can actually make this thing huge quickly to disrupt the monopoly that is Steam. So for developers, why would a developer want to use Ultra? Well, they're going to earn 21% more revenue compared to other competitors, in addition to new streams of income. So where something like Steam takes 30% of all developer revenue, and they don't pay out for 60 days after they collect the revenue. So the developer, let's say they sell 2 games for $100. Well, they're going to get $70 of that, but only after 60 days. So if they were able to get the money quicker, they can reinvest it into marketing and grow their game quicker. Right? And there also is new streams of income that we'll talk about with the NFTs and things like that. Also influencers and tournaments and things like that. So again, get paid instantly, right? So again, it's 60 days on other platforms, but you'll get paid the second you sell your game, which is such a huge relief for developers. Game porting made easy. So I will get into the developer SDK that was just announced recently a little bit more later, but they can easily port games from platforms such as Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo to Ultra with their universal SDK. Marketing toolbox. So, you have a game and you want to be able to market it, right? There's not really marketing tools on these other distribution platforms. You kind of have to figure that out yourself. But Ultra is giving developers a marketing toolbox, which will make it much easier for them to market their project. And they'll be able to use the tools with the UOS token. And that is so important. I will get into the entire token economy in a bit, because I think it's so important to understand why this is so valuable. This whole project and UOS token is so important. Grow your community. Manage your community with built-in tools, including game-specific clubs, forums, newsletters, and chats, as if you own the platform. Build better games, receive support for the community through financial incentives for beta test, bug hunting, feedback, etc. So this is so cool. Again, if you build a game and you want to feedback on it, again, you can have the players beta test your games. They get paid in tokens. They give you feedback, right? And you can also do bug hunting. So, what better than to keep if a developer is making revenue in UOS, the local token, and they create a new game, they could just use some of the revenue in the token they already have for things that are crucial to developing a game, such as bug hunting, beta testing, feedback, etc. New revenue streams, earn money through in-game advertising, the second-hand market, item trading, and referrals. So there's lots of ways that someone can earn revenue in the UOS or the Ultra ecosystem. Better discoverability. Players, streamers, bloggers, and the media can access relevant content and engage with like-minded communities. Excellent. Growing exponentially. This is the go-to-market strategy. This is so important. Bring new users and earn Ultra coins. Influencers, game publishers, and players are incentivized to promote the benefits of joining Ultra with our referral process. Ultra offers up to 3% of all revenue generated from purchased content. For many, this will be a substantial and reliable income stream. So if you're an influencer, or you just have a lot of friends that like to play video games, or you're early in this before it becomes super mainstream, you could just tell everybody, and there's 2 levels of revenue generate. So you refer one friend, you're gonna give it 2%, and that person refers another person, and you get 1% of those referral fees. Incredible. And this is the game console strategy. So players often acquire game consoles to only play a handful of games, such as Zelda on Nintendo or Mario. Ultra uses this strategy by incentivizing in exclusive content and reinvesting sales proceeds to ensure a continuous growth of both our exclusive games library and user base. So they put the money that they raise from the token sale into content to get exclusive games at the launch to instantly bring a bunch of players to the platform. Again, some people buy specific consoles like Nintendo or something just to get access to something that's exclusively on that console, like Zelda or Mario, for example. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the team. So the team, look at this experience, and the team is serious. This is one of the reasons that I really, really liked it from the beginning. I discovered this project 2.5 years ago. I'm not into video games anymore. I wasn't at the time either, and I really didn't understand how the video game industry had been changing. But when I started talking to Nicholas and understood what they were building, the true use case for blockchain, why it was important, the innovation that they were doing, and what they were trying to disrupt, it made a lot of sense to me. Then, when I found out the team that was behind it, mind-blowing. And I knew this was a serious project, and it's still a very early opportunity to get involved. So who's behind this? You've got people from Unity, Microsoft, AMD, Ubisoft, Dell, Google, Kingsoft. I have no idea what this is. PNB Paribas, Time Warner, W3C, Uber, Techstars, Bandai Namco, Magic Leap, Apple, Atari, LucasArts, Logitech, and the Rothschilds and Santander. Insane team. So let's get into it. The co-CEOs, David Hanson and Nicholas Ghillot. You've got both of them were co-founders of a project called 𝗟𝗏. And 𝗟𝗏, they both exited the company, I think, for something like $100 million. So they were, and this was a China-based gaming company. And so a couple things that make it extremely important to note here is that, one, they have a proven track record of building, developing, and exiting successful video game company. Now, there's another thing that's very interesting here. This 𝗟𝗏 was a Chinese-based company. Now, from what I understand, that Steam, like China's Great Firewall, and how Google doesn't make it into China and Facebook doesn't really make it into China, and these kind of things, China kind of has its own ecosystem of technology. However, this team has the ability to access the China market, which will bring it so much more valuable. And one of the partnerships that they haven't announced publicly yet, but they've been talking about it and haven't made the name yet, but that will give them access to 70 million gamers in China alone. Huge. Who is Mike Dunn? Mike Dunn he was before the previous CTO of Dell and Time Warner and a Techstars mentor, Edward. Edward, it was a game industry legend. Edward held positions at senior director and manager in both Apple and Google, SVP, PR of IGA Worldwide and Double Fusion. And it's huge, huge, huge. And Julian was the CFO for Wargaming America and Europe, international cost controller and headquarters cost controlling manager at Ubisoft Royalties, right? So incredibly important when it comes to content and game distribution. So now let's check out the advisors. This guy is AMD's head of worldwide content and senior director of SW Alliances. So Ultra has a partnership with AMD, and it is a rock solid partnership. AMD was also partners with Nicholas and David's company before. So they have a long going partnership. This is nothing new. They've been doing business together for quite a long time. So this is extremely important when it comes to exclusive game content. And also AMD is going to be running one of their nodes. So Alan, this is a China market advisor. This is incredibly important. When you want to talk about breaching a massive market that Steam and others couldn't do before, you talk about this guy, Alan Fu, who is their growth strategy in China. He was also the managing director of Unity 3D and director at Microsoft. And Alexandra, this guy has been director of Santander, has been responsible for growing mid-cap companies to IPO. So when it talks about growing a company to a massive level, this guy Alexandra is the one to do it. And here's some of their partners: Ubisoft, AMD, EOS Rio, EOS New York, Bitfinex, Coin1, BitTrue, Zangle, Master Ventures, huge Master Ventures, look at that, IBC, Point95, UCCR, VR. So really, really strong partnerships. It is amazing still that it took so long for people to catch on to this, and people still have no idea about it. The trading volume hasn't been a lot, and I'm just now bringing this to you because, why now? Because this protocol completed public testnet incoming. So this is just released 2.5, 3 weeks ago. This is why I'm bringing it to you now. The price has rallied a bit since this, like 2x, I think, since this public, maybe even 2.5x. But I wanted to wait because I have been, you know, this token was first released on Bitfinex like over a year ago and has been going completely sideways the entire time. But again, was waiting until we had significant reason to bring this to you, because now the markets are starting to move tremendously. And as we move into public testnet and people are openly trying this and telling their friends about it, it's going to start spreading like wildfire. And then we have Mainnet coming in Q4. And we all know what happens with Mainnet hype building up to an important event like the Mainnet launch. So right now, I believe, is a really, really good time to start taking this project seriously and looking into it and see if you want to get involved or not. So we've built the Ultra blockchain because no existing technology met business requirements. Our first application built on top of our technology is Ultra Games. So I just highlighted this because I want you to pay attention to the wording here. Our first application built on top of the technology is Ultra Games. So I don't have a tremendous amount of information that you don't have as a public, but I do have some insider information. And there's no mention of what the other applications will be that are built on top of Ultra blockchain. However, I do know of one. And I'll talk about it a bit more when I get into the SDK. Right? So this is talking about the public testnet. Many of our readers know how blockchains work, but while these steps might look easy for you, and they're talking about the complexity. So what we're talking about here was like how they're making Ultra Games incredibly easy for anybody, including a kid or whatever, in order to use this. They knew that, you know, setting up a wallet and be responsible for your private keys, and then when you're building on something like EOS, you have to care about RAM and CPU nets, and if a player had to think about any of those things, it would dramatically reduce the ability for adoption, because nobody wants to deal with that. When you just want to get on something and buy your video game, and you know, sure, if you're going to be participating in rewards, you're going to set up a wallet, but they're going to make that super simple too. So they believe that a platform like Ultra Games shouldn't cater to only techies, but it should be accessible to users who can't deal with complicated stuff, including kids. So back to this. So right here, right before this, they're talking about the complexities of EOS resources that are required from CPU and net resources and things like that, and so how they're solving that, right? And so to sum up this whole area about the public testnet, so just give you a quick summary because I didn't want to read the whole entire thing to you, and interest of saving your time, because I think the most interesting part is the token model, and you can really start to see the value of this whole thing. So to sum this up, a free user account creation strategy, a simplification of resource management that merges CPU and net into a single, more comprehensible ultra power resource, a complete redesign of resource management that enables end users to execute truly free transactions, functionality for corporations and businesses to get transaction execution priority regardless of the network state, a decentralized non-custodial key recovery mechanism that even kids can deal with, a new RAM marketplace to protect it from speculators, to keep RAM at its lowest price possible to help developers lower their operational costs, and increase transaction per second throughput, many more features including our NFT standard. We have been testing our blockchain privately for a while, and we are now ready to deploy our public testnet with our blockchain producer partners scheduled in August, leading to a complete benchmarking of our new blockchain solution. Okay, so this was just announced like a week ago, introducing Ultra SDK, and this is really, really important, right? So in order to have an appealing platform for gamers, our core technology is to assure game developers that our solution is the best one for them. During the past 3 years, we attended all major gaming events around the world, including 𝗨𝗏𝗨𝘀 with a specialized team dedicated to onboarding game developers and publishers. So far, we have more than 150 developers keen to publish their games on Ultra. We are building Ultra with game developers in mind. We want a platform that is easy to use, one that generates new revenue streams for our partners, and that has powerful tools to accelerate their game development. Today, we present a key part of our solution for game developers, introducing Ultra SDK. So what is an SDK? An SDK is a software development toolkit. It is a development tool containing documentation of software libraries to create applications or games. So I'm just going to kind of summarize this whole article for you. So, and just skip to the most important parts. You can read up any of this, and I encourage you to do so. However, with the interest of time, I just want to get to the most important parts. Until now, game developers who have used advanced functionalities of Steam's SDK were forced to stay within Steam. This changes with Ultra's cross-platform SDK. We've built an SDK that has feature parity with Steam, and more importantly, it will be the first ever fully fledged game SDK that includes everything you need to effortlessly enhance your Ultra, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or Steam game with the blockchain technologies, including our own powerful NFTs. So compatibility, we just kind of talked about this. If you watched a couple of my other videos recently, you will know that I am incredibly bullish on interoperability, right? And so even though this is what you can think of as like, if you watch my 𝗓𝗲𝗁 chain or my One chain video, you will know that I'm incredibly bullish on interoperability and allowing developers to build one thing on one platform and have it be accessed or accessible to all other platforms. And this is why I think that this ecosystem, this developer platform, is so incredible, because when you build something on iOS, when you build something on Android, when you build something on Nintendo or Xbox or Steam, you're building for that ecosystem exclusively. And that is a pain in the ass, right? But Ultra SDK is a cross-platform SDK allowing developers to make games and apps for macOS, Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. It supports many popular frameworks and languages. So now you can kind of maybe read between the lines about why this is so powerful for maybe some other applications that might be useful on top of Ultra blockchain that isn't strictly games. So can you think about something when it talks about being able to build things on top of all of these different platforms? Think about it. What if you could build an app and it wasn't just for Android or iOS, but it was for all of these consoles, Windows, Linux, Mac OS? What if you could build anything? Think about it. So Ultra is building an ecosystem platform, not just a game distribution platform, but something to create tournaments and profiles and social media and calendar events and calendar, like everything that you need to organize, from a community to your own calendar, to your own wallet, to your own marketplace, to your own community building, things like that. So it's starting to sound to me a lot like something like an operating system. So imagine maybe if they were building something like an operating system that ran on top of all these other platforms or operating systems. I can't say for sure, but it seems like something that might happen soon. I may or may not know a thing about it. So here is the SDK compatibility, talking about the frameworks for the games on Unity 3D and Unreal Engine, the platforms that it can work on top of. Here is another thing to pay attention to. So you have Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, also Nintendo, mobile. We've got Windows, Linux, Mac OS. Think about it. Languages: C++, C, HTML, Objective-C, Java, and JavaScript. Okay, and here is something else interesting. So we're talking about virtual items and NFTs. So NFT is a non-fungible token. By purchasing games on Ultra Games, users are actually purchasing the game NFTs that prove ownership and unlock the right to download, play, and get updates. The SDK is being designed to also generate in-game virtual item NFTs, which can be managed easily through an in-game user interface, but also outside of the game in NFT marketplaces. So NFTs are basically representing the right to a digital item, whether it's a game, whether it's in-game item like a sword or a race car or a skin or something like that. And what's interesting is with their NFTs, they're pegged basically to the value of the UOS. So it's always going to be guaranteed a real world value. And every time that the NFTs are created, they're locking up basically UOS. So this is another way to increase token UOS, or the native token demand. There's so many different ways that there'll be value demand or locked demand for the token, including staking itself. But I'll get into all that in a bit. I want to talk about token flow. So Ultra SDK is a key part of Ultra's gaming ecosystem. Now game developers have the tools to bring blockchain features to the games seamlessly. It will be accessible very soon to every game developer, allowing them to easily port their Steam, Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation games on Ultra. Boom. Now, token economics. So token economics are extremely important. For those of you who don't know, the token economics are critical. And it's important to know what they are and how it works and why we anticipate the value of that token to increase in time, right? And it's simple economics. We're talking about supply and demand. We already know that the max amount of UOS tokens that will ever be developed is 1 billion, right? And we want to see that people want to hold those tokens for things like staking, for things like NFTs, for referrals, for purchasing games, for everything that we talked about so far, and we'll talk about in a second. But we know that the supply will always be constant, and the demand will increase, which theoretically would increase the value of the token over time. So token is incredibly important, and I'll tell you why I anticipate that the value of this ecosystem to grow exponentially more than something like if it was just building a traditional business that had a traditional revenue model with profit and loss and dealt in fiat. There's a reason that the market cap of the Ultra ecosystem should grow exponentially more than if this were to be a business where you invested in stock or something like that. Because for a lot of reasons, not just sales revenue. That's how you increase the valuation of a company traditionally, sales revenue. But here there's so many more mechanisms to increase the lockup of that token. While the token's locked up or people have it in possession, it is out of circulating supply, meaning that the value will increase dramatically. So I'm going to actually go through this entire token flow and use case because it is so important. So the UOS token that empowers the whole 𝗪𝗁 ecosystem, enabling efficient and transparent value transfer between stakeholders, developers, influencers, and players. All purchase of games, virtual items, and services within the ecosystem require the use of UOS token. This includes features such as loyalty programs, advertisements, trading of digital goods, and so on. All transactions are completed on the blockchain with our tokens, which will cause a constant demand for 𝗪𝗁 token as ecosystem increases. Like, one of the most incredible things here that I will mention is advertisements. So as you know, advertising to big things like Facebook or whatever brings in billions and billions and billions of dollars a year to a company. But when you have something like a blockchain ecosystem, a true token ecosystem, all of the money that comes from advertising gets converted. So if someone pays $1 million for an advertisement, that money doesn't go directly to the founders of 𝗪𝗁. It goes, even if they pay in fiat, they take the fiat, convert it into UOS, and then pump it back into the token economy. So that's $1 million now of value that is going to increase the market cap of UOS by $1 million. Now you're starting to see how it will grow so quickly. We will also accept traditional forms of payment such as PayPal and credit cards. Fiat currency enters the system and is converted to UOS on the back end. We do this by purchasing UOS on exchanges and then setting it to a smart contract to complete the intended transaction for the user. That's what I just talked about. The fiat to UOS conversion process is fully integrated with 𝗪𝗁 to provide seamless user experience. All this is carried out with minimal friction. Okay, I don't need to read that. This is just talking about how they're going to make it easy for anybody to use. You can use it with your credit card or PayPal or debit card or whatever. And again, it goes and just buys tokens with the fiat and puts it in the proper use cases within the ecosystem. 𝗪𝗁 is designed as a self-sustaining ecosystem. Different actors are incentivized to use their tokens through different channels adapted to their particular needs. It's being utilized as a medium of exchange to its full extent for each and every action that could benefit from blockchain technology within the 𝗪𝗁 platform. No matter if it's used by a developer, a player, or an influencer, all actors utilize UOS token to interact with the ecosystem. Again, incredibly important. Below is an overview of some of our token mechanisms and how they interact with the ecosystem. As a product and ecosystem evolves, we expect additional use cases for UOS to emerge either through our own development or through third-party developers. We will encourage all use cases that increase alignment between all actors, including our token holders. Time lock. So 5% of 𝗪𝗁's profits will be reserved for 2 years to fund exclusive games that use our blockchain and NFT capabilities. This reserve enables 𝗪𝗁 to continually build our game portfolio, which is valuable to all actors in the ecosystem. So 5% of all the profit generated from 𝗪𝗁 will be locked for 2 years in this war chest that will continue since all the time they'll be making profits. It's just basically what it's doing is it's creating a continual revenue stream or savings account to always be able to afford exclusive game content, which will always drive demand to 𝗪𝗁. It is incredibly important that they do this. Obviously, the locked tokens will come back into circulation at a later time, but when 𝗪𝗁 achieves constant traction on the platform with a healthy growth rate, there will never be a stage of equilibrium for supply and demand. Developers can create NFTs a very simple way using 𝗪𝗁 Dev Center, our developer back office tool with a powerful SDK. These NFTs are ready to be easily integrated into their games. With the introduction of crafting, this is where I was talking about earlier, we introduce a new income stream for them. They can fuse the UOS token within the NFTs to guarantee an inherent value, which is at least the value of the fused UOS tokens. At any time, the owner of this NFT can break the NFT to get its contained UOS tokens back. So imagine this. Imagine that you have, this is why I think it's just going to exponentially just blow by something like Steam, because NFTs are becoming more and more and more popular as the ability to start trading assets within games or within apps like skins and swords and cars and weapons and things like that. Every time an NFT is created, it is required to fuse it to the UOS. So let's say that we've got eventually over some time, a couple of years from now, you've got millions or billions of all kinds of tradable assets within this video game ecosystem. And all of them, while they're converted into an NFT, a digital tradable exclusive asset, that is requiring the use of UOS tokens the entire time. So more NFTs that are created and traded and kept as an NFT, will require more and more UOS tokens. Fusing UOS to an NFT not only guarantees floor price for players, it also guarantees that developers will generate more revenue in the secondhand market. When developers believe they have items that will be traded a lot, they have an incentive to create those items and lock UOS tokens in them, because they will receive sales revenue share every time this item is resold in a game or on item trading platforms. This is really cool. So it's encouraging developers to build NFTs or tradable assets. And so people start thinking about, because what it will do is it'll be a huge revenue stream for them. So they can produce a game like they could on Steam or Xbox, whatever. Not only is the developer going to keep more of the profit and get paid instantly, like we talked about earlier, but if they can create a way that will be very attractive for that game to have in-game assets that can be bought and sold and traded, now that creates a new significant revenue stream for that game developer. Not only will they make money every time they sell the asset initially, but every time that the asset trades hands. So let's say that it's like I don't know, let's say it's a skin for a race car or something like that. Every time that someone buys it and sells it, the developer makes some money from that transaction also. Engagement. At 𝗟𝗀, we aim to create a beneficial ecosystem for players as well as developers. To ensure this, we provide players with a diverse ways to easily and instantly earn UOS tokens. Everyone can earn tokens by engaging on the platform in various ways. Players may also be able to earn EOS by helping developers build better games through opportunities such as watching ads, participating in beta tests, answering surveys, and much, much more. Again, if you're super into video games, I mean, you probably can make a living just playing, trading, betting, earning, whatever. You can even create different things. You could create your own marketplace. You can create your own asset lottery, whatever you want. You can do like this as far as your imagination can take you in 𝗟𝗀. You can create it. You can, like I said, you can create like a digital asset lottery, basically. Whatever. You can do anything. There's so much possibilities to earn revenue in 𝗟𝗀. And remember, all the revenue, all the things, everything of value is done in the native token. Spendability. Each token on the 𝗟𝗀 platform or buy and sell games, services, and digital assets for a US token, spend thousands of stores and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the 𝗟𝗀 ecosystem is designed in a way that developers are incentivized to keep a portion of the revenue within the ecosystem. For example, developers can spend UOS to improve their games and communities, such as in reinvesting the revenues into advertisement or foregoing unique valuable items for their players. Furthermore, all developers can directly decide how much of the revenue should be distributed to publishers, influencers. Okay. So again, this is kind of repeating some of the stuff that I said earlier. This is really important and really interesting to check out, but I'm not going to go into it now. But this tells you exactly how the token flows through the entire token ecosystem. Very, very interesting to check it out. This is a Medium article that you can go back and check out. So we estimate that for each dollar injected into our ecosystem, at least 40 cents will be retained by UOS. I think it'll be higher, but they said at least 40 cents. Right, and that numbers are important to check out when I come into speculation in a little bit. And this talks a bit about the ads. So they talk about there could be more ways, and this goes into the ads that I told you about earlier. Okay, so let's get into some wild price speculation. So what is 𝗟𝗀's market cap right now? So the public listing of the UOS token was sold at 5 cents. It's currently at 12 cents. So it's just a bit more than double what the sale was. So that's not a lot. Hasn't gained a lot of appreciation yet. Still early. And for a team like that, with partnerships like AMD and Ubisoft and Master Ventures, you have so much room to grow. And when a company like Steam that does a fraction of what 𝗟𝗀 does and is a fraction of interesting and doesn't have access to China, you can start to think about the fact that this has so much room to grow lots, right? So here, let me just show you this. Look at this. So when it launched, it's just gone like this. It's launched at 5 cents. It dropped down, but it's just stayed all the way for about a year around the price that it listed at. So it's from... Yep, it's been just over a year, and it finally, as news started to grow about the public testnet, it started to come up, right? But again, it's incredibly early. So let's talk about price speculation. All right, so right now the current market cap is 46,202,000. And if you haven't seen my videos before, I will post this sheet on my Twitter where you can download a copy yourself and adjust it however you feel, whatever you feel the potential market cap might be. But how it kind of works is you have the current market cap over here. So at any given time, you can plug in, if it goes down or up, you can plug in the current market cap. And then and this is our speculation kind of thing. What do you think that the value of it might be in the future? Is it 200 million? Is it 500 million, 1 billion, et cetera, et cetera? So over here in this investment column, this is like, what would your investment look like if you put $100 in today, $1,000 in today, $10,000 in today, et cetera, et cetera. And over here, this is just the corresponding 200,000, 4.3x, 4.3x, and so on and so forth. And here I just kind of give you some references and I'll tell you why I put these numbers up here in a little bit. So let's get into it. So currently, there's not a whole lot of other types of blockchain projects to reference when we're talking about 𝗟𝗏, but one of them that currently is kind of similar, however, I still think 𝗟𝗏 will blow it away, is Enjin. And Enjin's current market cap is at $200 million. So if it goes from 46 million to 200 million, you're talking about a 4.3x. Now, if it goes to Enjin's all-time high, which is incredibly reasonable to do, and I think that it'll do it very, very soon, you're looking at a 7.6x. Now, let's talk about what would happen if it did 40% of what Steam made in 2017. Now, why 40%? Well, I just feel like that's a good number, and also because the 𝗟𝗏 estimated that 40% of the token would be kept in the US ecosystem. So if Steam did 4.3 or 4.7 billion in 2017, it's reasonable to say that the revenue generated from 𝗟𝗏 at a minimum would be $2 billion. However, so this is just a really, really loose kind of assumption here, because there's so many more ways to add value other than just Steam's thing, right? So and value creation in this ecosystem. And also, we have a public project versus a private entity. So you can think about speculation drives up price. And just like Cardano had an all-time high of $30 billion when there was no revenue generated from it, not even a working product. And like Cardano and Ethereum and now Polkadot, 𝗟𝗏 is also an ecosystem in order for dApps to be built on top of it, or games. So why did I put Cardano in here? Because I put Cardano in here because Cardano was at an all-time high of $30 billion, and it wasn't even built yet, and it was a protocol layer that enabled people to build different things on top of it that would drive demand into that ecosystem. So what would it look like if you put $1,000 into 𝗟𝗏 today? And let's say that it went to Enjin's all-time high. That $1,000 turns into 7,557. Let's say that it goes to, I think that it's very, very possible that it goes to $1 billion market cap within the next, I would say remember, Mainnet is coming in the end of the year, right? So we're talking 3-4 months max. And and with all the things I talked about that could bring people to it, and the hype and the speculation, and imagine when they start making announcements that they're bringing on this exclusive game and that exclusive game that everybody wants, people are going to go absolutely crazy for it. And when people can start making money, young kids that don't have any money that can just start introducing their friends to it, and they introduce their friends to it, they introduce their friends to it, you're talking about a way that brings a lot of people to actually use a platform very, very soon, right? So do I expect to see $1 billion market cap? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that $1,000 investment turns into $21,644 if it does that. So now let's say that maybe, I don't know, let's say that, because remember, we also have, it could shoot up because it's so much different than having to actually generate revenue from something like Steam, where you don't get the Steam did $4-something billion in revenue, but that didn't reflect what people's future expectation of that project to do, like you do in crypto, right? So do I think it could get to something like $2 billion fairly quickly. I do. And that would take your $1,000 investment at a 43.3x to $43,288. Now, what happens if it gets to something like Cardano's all-time high? Is that possible to do in the next bull run? Possibly. Possibly. Again, this is a protocol layer 1 solution for video games, which is a huge market around the world. Massive. And this is that protocol layer solution, which has massive revenue generating potential. All advertisement done on the platform is all done in UOS. Right? So we're talking about massive potential. And I think that it is reasonable for it to hit Cardano's all-time high. Why not? Cardano did this without even having a working product. So that $1,000 investment turns into $649,323. I'll give you one more example. Let's say that we put, so, and again, you can download this, you can change this investment, $100, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever you want. Let's say that we put $10,000 in today and it made it to Engine's all-time high. That $10,000 turns into $75,754. Let's say that $10,000, it goes into this number of $2 billion. I think it's incredibly reasonable. $432,882. That $10,000, if it goes to Cardano's all-time high, does a 649x. Again, you might say that's crazy, but it is extremely possible. That $10,000 investment turns into $6.5 million. All right, you guys, with all the things I mentioned before, please like, please subscribe, share with everybody. I will be making more of these videos. If you have anything else that you want me to make a video about, or you appreciated this, again, I would really, really appreciate it for like and subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.